loud and clear. Good morning and thanks for joining the Think You Know Extreme Networks webinar from Extreme and Exclusive Networks. My name is Quinten. I am the BDM or vendor manager for Extreme within distributor Exclusive Networks. It won't be me who's doing the talking today because we have Peter and Hans from Extreme here. I just quickly showed this beginning slide with my contact details. I will also send you a short thank you message afterwards. So in case of any questions for me, please don't hesitate to ask them during this call or afterwards. The webinar today is the first of two. So this means there is a second webinar within 2 weeks on the 25th of March. And that second webinar will be more technical, a technical workshop specifically on Extreme's cloud solutions with a live demo. So if this is interesting for you, you can still register on the website. So you can go to the Exclusive Networks Belgium page, and then under resources, you will find the events and webinars, and you can still register for the second technical workshop for Extreme's cloud solutions. For today, there's a question box on your screen, so you can drop all your questions in there. But we will first do the whole presentation. Probably a lot of your questions will already be answered. And then afterwards, I will walk through them and we can take it from there if there is still open questions. And then finally, when you leave this webinar after the call is done, when you press leave, there will automatically pop up a very short survey. It's just 4 questions. It's multiple choice, so you just have to tick 4 boxes. But if you can do this, it would help a lot for us to give some helpful feedback. So thanks upfront for filling out the survey. And that's it from my side. So I give the word now to Peter, who will kick off. Peter, it's all yours. And Peter, you're still on mute, by the way.
You hear me now?
Yes, we do.
My apologies.
No worries.
Good morning. Goedemorgen. We can do it in English or in Dutch as you want. My name is Peter Deglin. I recently joined Extreme Networks about 6 weeks ago. To give you some background on myself, I'm in the networking business since 1988, so it's quite a long time. And in 1999, I entered the Wi-Fi world, being part of the Wi-Fi development team in the Netherlands, when Wi-Fi was, let's say, invented a long time ago, when nobody was using it. And if we switch it off today, a lot of people will have an issue connecting to the internet or to the network. So my background is switching and Wi-Fi. So I'm going to do the introduction today on Extreme Networks, together with my colleague Hans van Damme. We will introduce him, let's say, after my introduction. To give you some idea about who is Extreme Networks, we are a company based in the US. We started in '96, very small. Today we are grown to a sizable company. We do a $1.1 billion of revenue with a lot of colleagues, about 2,800. We listed on the Nasdaq, and we like to be as successful as any other big American company, the Cisco's and the HPs and the Googles. What we do is extreme networking, especially on switching, but also on Wi-Fi. And the company is moving more and more to a cloud-driven solution. It helps yourself, it helps the customer. We're taking away pain points at the customer side. And this is what we do. Extreme switching, extreme Wi-Fi, and we call it extreme cloud because it's the way that the market is moving, and also Extreme as a company. We have a lot of customers, and I will give you an overview of what we do in Belgium a little bit next few slides. We do it always through partners, and the partners are quite key for us in every single business or project we're doing, from very small to big projects like the STIP in Brussels or the MEVB. And we need you to be successful on all levels. So give you some history on Extreme. You see Enterasys for people who are in the business for a long time. It's one of the growth company a long time ago. We added a few other companies like Avaya. I think a lot of people know Avaya until it went Chapter 11, and we took over the switching industry from Avaya or products. We also integrated Zebra, which is having specialized logistics solutions. In 17, we also added Brocade for the data centers. And in 2019, we added Aerohive to the portfolio. So we have a lot of knowledge in the company. We have the products, we have the technology, we have also the, let's say, the patents on switching, especially with the fabric. And it makes us a strong partner to work with. So if you look at what our friends from Gartner are selling us, you have the Cisco and the HPs, who are quite leader in the market, but we're not so far away behind them. So on switching and on Wi-Fi, we can go really head-to-head with these people on an easy way, especially with the features that we have, let's say, in the APs and the core switching. You see a lot of, let's say, competitors behind us, even CommScope and Juniper Mist. They're a little bit visionary, but we're doing exactly the same with our cloud solution. Yeah, some industry recognition. All the American big magazines are mentioning now Extreme Networks, especially because we're moving to a cloud-centric company, and it gives us a lot of attention moving forward. You'll see also initiatives from within the company to help you go away from, let's say, on-prem to really a high secure cloud environment. Some references. These are global ones. I think we have another slide. Yeah. These are global references in healthcare, government, education, in any kind of market we are already active in. To give you some information about what we do in Belgium and Luxembourg, you see that we have a lot of attention in the healthcare market, also in government. We do a lot of big projects in education. A lot of them are based on our high capacity and high performance switching infrastructure with the fabric. We do more and more hospitality. We're also going for manufacturing because uptime of network is getting very key for these people. Same thing in transportation and logistics. I already mentioned the MEVB STIP, which is recently launched through data news, that we won a very large project there with a lot of cameras and uptime and switching between one line to another line in less than a second, which is quite important for these customers. We also have retail up to more than 10,000 APs, depending on the customer, with a cloud-centric solution. Because if you need to manage, let's say, 600-700 stores with maybe 100 APs, you need to have a solid system in place to maintain it and make it also easy and optimize your team who's doing it. Fabric references with the switches that we have. You see a lot of references in the healthcare environment. We just recently renewed, I think, or added Jollimont, and we also have Moeskroen to the portfolio. We see the police, we see the education, mainly the universities, and you see more and more Extreme having big locations across Belgium and Luxembourg. We also have a lot of, let's say, technology partners, and we are also working with one of the Belgian companies called Barco, Barco is integrating us in the healthcare division for especially operating rooms. But you have any, let's say, big company who's giving us a value add or convergence on cloud, on analytics, even on security, working with Palo Alto and Fortinet for technology and Extreme is not an issue to work together. If you look what's happening in data, it is getting more and more devices on the net. Give you an example, simple example. Look at your own home. So how many phones you had a few years ago, and computers and tablets, and what you have today. If I look at my own family, in the week we have 12 connections, and in the weekend I have 38. So connections are connecting more and more on the net. Generating at the same time more and more data. Data is generated by the applications. Looking back to my own family, if my children going back, we have PlayStation, we have Netflix, we have any kind of video streaming for education. And it gives you, you need to have a solid quality network, especially on the Wi-Fi side, before it's going to the network of Proximus or Telenet. So yeah, that is a massive growth in data. You also need to invest in a little bit in quality, and of course security is a big part of our life now. Buying attacks from companies, but also people at home, because people are having an office now at home with the Corona situation. So yeah, it's end-to-end cloud-driven networking on switching and on Wi-Fi with a centralized management approach with the cloud. Through the cloud we can see any behavior on data. We create it also visible for everybody. We can also create analytics. We also adding artificial intelligence, and we adding also what you call automation tools to help you setting up the networks more easily. And because the visibility is there and the central management, it takes an easy approach to work together with Extreme Networks. I think that's my part, introduction of the company. I will hand it over now to Hans van Damme, or you can do that maybe, Quinten, because I don't see Hans in the list here.
Hans, you should be able to present now, and you're unmuted.
Just let me see. What screen are you seeing now? Seeing the presentation?
We see
yes,
Hans.
but...
Oh. Okay. Seeing the presentation screen now?
We see the PowerPoint, not the presenter mode, but it can work like this as well.
Wait 1 minute. That's the better one, I think.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so sorry for this. I'm just going back then to the thing. Okay, just a short introduction of myself. My name is Hans van Damme. I'm Senior System Engineer for Extreme in the Benelux. So in that way, I will head here to answer questions for partners, customers, distributors, and to help our sales guys as well, like Peter. I have also a lot of experience and background in the networking industry, well, since last 25 years, I think. So coming back to our cloud proposition, actually we have some difference between the licenses we have in the cloud available. First of all, we have all our hardware. The aim is to connect all the hardware to the cloud in one way or another. So we have cloud native hardware and non-native cloud hardware. So the cloud native hardware, when it connects to the public cloud, you can manage it with a Connect license. The Connect license is free, so that's the step-in license. But currently, most of our customers choose for the pilot licenses, what gives you all the features and whistles and bells that we have available right now. In the future, we will be adding Copilot and Autopilot functionality, and that's actually when the cloud itself driven by machine learning and artificial intelligence will take decisions for your network in cooperation with GTech, our technical division, or by sending an email to an administrator dedicated to the VIQ. The cloud itself can be in a public cloud, but it can also be in a local or private cloud environment. And for the non-native cloud and hardware, we have a navigator license so that in fact that they can talk to the cloud. This will not be configuration, but actually it will be a monitoring license in that case. Okay, so the importance of cloud comes back to machine learning and artificial intelligence, and the way how you get this data in a useful format for users is via dashboards. So dashboards can be real-time or historic. So we are doing wired, wireless, and SD-WAN management. In that way, the SD-WAN management is only a small part of it, what we're doing, but the focus is on wired and wireless. So you get a full visibility of the network traffic, and also your users, the clients, your devices and applications and things, meaning IoT devices, are getting visibility in our cloud solution. We are even adding third-party devices with a native cloud adapter in it. That's currently in the works with, for example, Zebra Technologies, where we are putting a cloud connector in certain of their handheld scanners. So the Extreme dashboards include Client 360, Client Monitor, Network 360, Comparative Analytics, some Cloud Network Telemetry, and Copilot that is in the works. So about our cloud itself, it's a 4th generation cloud built on microservices. So this means that all the different applications that are running into the cloud can be updated one by one. So this, as a result, will get you the 100% uptime. The cloud networking is also in such a way that everything is segmented. So you really have an automated end-to-end wired and wireless network segmentation, and also the operations are really segmented from each other. So by the fact that all these devices and all these end devices are sending the data to the cloud, we have the way of, via machine learning, of getting you real data that is important to you as an end user or an administrator. And definitely we secure this via role-based access. If you see then also on what cloud versions we can run, this is done on AWS, Amazon, Azure, or Google Cloud. It can be a public cloud, it can be a private cloud, or it can also be a local cloud running on native hardware. We are doing network management for any vendor by meaning of our XMC, soon to be renamed to XIQ site engine, where we have a native cloud connector, and that can speak to all third-party devices that are SNMP manageable or simply via CLI scripting. Naturally, all our hardware will be integrated with the cloud at one day. So on the security side, we have ISO 27001 certification, and we have also 27001 and 27017 in the works. We are doing naturally WIPS, wireless intrusion protection system, and everything is segmented and embedded. If you see the differences of the cloud, I think 95% of your customers will be using a public cloud. The public cloud is publicly hosted, so from everywhere in the world it's accessible. You're getting real-time updates on the system. It's infinitely scalable, so this means that we will be adding processor resources, memory resources, disk resources, so you don't have to take care of anything. The only thing what you need to do is get your AP onboarded in the cloud, and then automatically it will get all resources necessary to be manageable and monitorable. It's definitely multi-tenant, because otherwise you're not speaking about a real cloud solution. We have the machine learning and artificial intelligence embedded in the system, and the way how it is microservices based, so that you can upgrade all different parts one by one gives us the 100% uptime that we have already since May 2020. I'm not going on the private one because actually it's the same configuration as the public one, except that you are running in your own private environment. We also have the local option. This is currently a VMware option, but we are also in the mood of having specialized hardware so that you can run the real microservices oriented kernel or the real microservice oriented solution also on a local hardware platform. Okay, sorry for this. So where is our cloud situated? Actually, it's all over the world. So we have a global data center in Dublin, Ireland, and another one as a backup in the US. Or if you see it from the US side, the main one is in the US and the backup is in Ireland. And then we have some regional data centers. Some of them are on Amazon, other ones are on Google, on Microsoft Azure. The ones on Amazon currently have a 90-day data retention limit, but the ones on Google have unlimited data. In fact, for the Benelux, most of the time when you sign up now, you're ending up on the Amsterdam data center. The older installations are still using the Dublin one. Okay. ISO 27001 certification, that's a really important one. It's also including GDPR certification. Why is this so important? It's not only the storage and the servers that are ISO 27001 certified, but also the whole application. So this means that a customer of yours doesn't have to care about this anymore. He only needs to check on the local process that he needs to have. For example, you don't want to put a username and a password of your cloud access on your screen, and that's all what he needs to do. Once this is done and the local requirements are met, everything is GDPR or ISO 27001 compliant. So when we come back to the cloud and how you manage the cloud and how you use the cloud, the first thing is get your devices into the cloud. So we have the typical way of adding this via the web interface. It's simple. You open the cloud, you onboard device, you put in the serial number, and it's done. But recently we also added a mobile app, so that actually with your mobile phone, you simply scan the serial number, you put the serial number on a floor plan, and then you add the network policy and up you go. Everything is operational. Once the devices are in line and people are starting connecting, one of the important things that the cloud is giving you is the Client 360. The Client 360 gives you an overview of all your statistics that your clients have. It gives you the total client experience in real time or as a historical view. It gives you also some client health metrics. Client health metrics meaning KPIs. How much uptime do you have? How were the RSSI values? What disconnections that you had? How have these people been connected? How long have they been connected? All this is available in a dashboard, and this in an unlimited days. We have unlimited days data retention on this. Typical cloud providers have 30 to 90 days. We have the unlimited durability. One important thing as well, if you're checking your cloud suggestions and if the help desk is using the cloud, is the client monitor. This enables you to pick one of your clients exactly, and when with this client, you are monitoring all the connections he's making and all the troubles he's seeing immediately in a dashboard screen. You can see the authentication issues, you can see association issues, you can see roaming times, and any other issues as well on the network side, like DHCP issues, DNS issues, data center access, latency. All this is in one dashboard that can easily be seen, easily be checked. And also it's using a drill down function. So if you see there is an issue, you just click on the button or on the dashboard and you go deeper into the system. Okay. So we were starting at the client edge. So the client connects to the device. This device can be a switch or an AP, and currently we have a full dashboard on visibility on APs. It's called Network 360, and also Network 360 will give you a real-time and an historical view of the health of your network. So have the APs been up all the time? What are the temperature values? Have DNS been available all the time? All this is in one dashboard with the KPI values. And if you see up in the screen here, all these numbers, 98, 91, 100, all these are via a drill down function available, so you can see the actual details on what these numbers are based. Also here, unlimited days of auditable access. One thing that is important as well in authentication of wireless users is PPSK. It's private pre-shared key. So this is giving you a unique pre-shared key for one device, one user, but also for a group of devices without having the need of installing a radio server, for example. So this also enables you that if there are a flux or people are moving or devices are moving out of your network, by simply removing this key, that device does not have access anymore. Instead of having to remove the encryption key or change the encryption key for everybody, it's only for this specific user or this specific group of users. It enables you a really search like a surgical delete of that specific encryption key. Cloud can be integrated in third-party solutions like we have ServiceNow or third-party monitoring system via an API call. So we have a full set of APIs that is available, easily implementable. And the idea is that whatever you can do within cloud, meaning configuration, monitoring, getting dashboards, and so will be available also via an API call. So currently we are in phase 1.0 of this API integration, and the most important ones are the identity APIs, like from an external system, let's say at the reception area, or if you think about a hospital where the patients are getting signed in, it automatically creates a PPSK so that people can be then in a secure way have access to the Wi-Fi network of the hospital. How does actually the Wi-Fi works from Extreme? It's via distributed control. So this means there is no central controller available. The APs talk to each other, and between each other there is a protocol that they know about each other, about the users that are connected, they know about the frequencies and channels that are in use, they know about the power. So this also means that if one of the APs is failing or goes down, the other APs will try to get more power out of the radio, so have a better signal, so that they will cover also the gaps that can exist. So the one important thing is that here is that there are no dedicated wireless LAN controls. This also means that actually the VLANs that your wireless users will be using need to be available on the switches where the APs are connecting. So there is no real need for tunneling available here. So if you can see here, kind of a motion, if the users are connecting, the APs talk to each other, and so, okay. So the APs are Wi-Fi 6 APs. There are definitely one important thing is security. So all our Wi-Fi 6 APs support WPA3 encrypted connections. We're doing device fingerprinting. We're doing also layer 7 application inspecting and visibility. We definitely support WITS and WIPs for the intrusion protection system and the intrusion detection system. We have PPSK keys, and every single user that connects to the network gets assigned to a specific profile and policy. So this policy can mean different firewalls, different VLANs, different volumes, etc. The APs can be managed through XIQ, and at the same time, when the management is there, they send information to XIQ. So all this info is then stored in XIQ and via dashboards can be accessed. So Wi-Fi health information like RSSI values, roaming times, all this information is coming from the APs and is available in dashboards. The Wi-Fi 6 capabilities are also inherent to all Wi-Fi APs. So we have OFDMA, we have four stream MIMO, we have the support of 1024 QAM, so to get more bandwidth available. We have all these spatial streams that are available, extended range in that way. This is not really what should be important for you, just for the fact that if you have extended range, also your bandwidth is going down, your available bandwidth is going down. So it's better to have a good site service. So every single user that connects to your Wi-Fi network has also optimal RSSI values. Adaptive RF algorithms are running between the APs so that we don't have interference between the different radios that are in use on your Wi-Fi network. Also, we are doing automatic load sharing of the users. So if we see that the 5 gigahertz, one 5 gigahertz radio has too many users attached, we try to push these users to other 5 gigahertz radios that are available, or even to 2.4 gigahertz radios. One important fact on that is supported by all our Wi-Fi 6 AP is programmable radios. As you probably know, in 2.4 gigahertz, you only have 3 non-overlapping frequencies. That's channel 1, 6, and 11. So this means also that the number of channels that can be used in 2.4 gigahertz is limited. If you want to go to 5 gigahertz, where you have 23 channels that are available, then actually you have access to a lot more bandwidth. So this means then 5 gigahertz is the way to go for your Wi-Fi bandwidth, as most, I think now, if we check the number of devices that are connecting to our cloud system and the number of devices that are 5 gigahertz capable, we come about to 90% that is capable. So it's a very useful feature that both radios in an AP can support 5 gigahertz. So this is the case with all our Wi-Fi 6 APs. Also, the Wi-Fi 6 APs have integrated Zigbee and BLE. So in that way, we can monitor BLE devices via iBeaconing. So the first high capacity series of Wi-Fi 6 APs that we have is the 510 series. So this is a dual radio 4x4 MIMO 2.4 and 5 gigahertz radio. It's multi-rate, it has BLE Zigbee, and one important fact for hospital environments, for example, is it's redundant PoE capable. So you don't have a single point of failure for this device, because most of the time, if you only have one PoE capable port, if that cable breaks, then you don't have any power to the APs anymore, so simply no coverage at that time. All our APs also have 802.3 AF capabilities. In that way, then it's reduced functionality, but we always try to get an 802.3 AT connection to the system itself. The AP500C, like you will see also, has also an external version with external antennas. It's called the AP510CX. The second AP series that we have is the 400 series. The 400 series is a 3 radio AP, where we have a 2x2 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz radio 1, and a 4x4 5 gigahertz radio 2. It also includes a third radio that is doing a sensor, 24/7 sensoring, security sensor. Also, this AP has a dual 5 gigahertz capability. It has a multi-rate Ethernet interface and one gig port. It's including BLE, Zigbee, and USB. It also has a light sensor included, and this light sensor will be the functionality of this is still on the roadmap, but the hardware is already included. For the outdoor environment, we have the 460 series. This is also a 3 radio AP with integrated antennas. So it's an omni antenna a 60-degree directional antenna or a 120-degree directional antenna. And then we have actually the 300 series. That's the most sold series. That's a 305C or the 305CX, CX with external antennas. This is a dual radio AP with a 2x2 2.4 5 GHz radio and one 2x2 5 GHz radio. The uplink is a 1 gig port. It supports 802.3 AF with full functionality, and the temperature range is for indoor. Okay. The last AP that we just have announced is the successor of the AP 150W. It's a wall mount AP. This is a 2x2 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, and a 2x2 5 gigahertz radio device, but it also includes a mini switch with 3 1 gig Ethernet ports. If you power the unit with 802.3 AT, then we have an additional 802.3 AF port that is available on the. This is a typical installation to put on your desk, for example, or in hotel environments, or simply classrooms where we have one connection coming in and where you can then connect additional Ethernet devices as well. This is also the AP that will be used for our IoT implementations. That's a dual 5 gigahertz design. So that's a software-defined radio, SDR radio. So that one that has SDR functionality can be run in 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz. There's a special design rule in that way that the two radios need to be at least 60 megahertz available from each other. So if you have one radio, for example, using channel 40, then the next radio, the second radio, will need to be configured to use channel 100 or above in 5 gigahertz. Important as well on Extreme Cloud IQ is the essentials that are included. And essentials are special applications that we give away in the pilot license, and that meaning applications that we think are essential to run your network like it should be. That's also why we call it Extreme Essentials. So the ones that we have are actually air defense. Air defense is the base version of the well-known WIP solution, air defense, that we already have for 15 years. It's the base, meaning that we don't have the full 300 threads that are being monitored, but I would say only 42, but that's not really the case, because 42 is most of the threads that are available, that are needed to monitor your network. So it's not only Wi-Fi detection, but it's also Bluetooth detection. We are not only doing ROC detection, it's also threats that are, for example, on anomalies that the clients are doing that we are being detected. Currently, we have a hardware limitation on that it's only supported by the AP410C and AP460C, but the other Wi-Fi 6 APs like the 300 series and the 500 series will be following up in the next couple of months. Second essentials application that we have is called Extreme Location Essentials. It's locationing LBS, location-based services, for Wi-Fi and BLE devices. It can do zone and asset tracking, meaning you say, look, that's the device that has this MAC address, and based on the MAC address of the Wi-Fi, you can easily find out where that device is located for that moment. We also doing analysis on dwell time and presence analytics. So, for example, for retail environments, you can see where most of the Wi-Fi users or BLE users have been shopping at a certain moment of time and during a certain moment of the day. Also here we still have the limitation right now on 410C and 460C APs, but also here the Wi-Fi 6 APs, the 300 series and 500 series, will follow in the next couple of months. Then we have also guest essentials. That's an extension of the captive web portal function that we already have in Cloud IQ. It gives you more options of social login, and it gives you also a WYSIWYG captive web portal application. definitely also in combination with the Extreme Location Essentials, gives you also the analytics of which users have been using the guest function on your Wi-Fi network. Fourth essentials that we have available right now is IoT Essentials, and it actually gives you a way of connecting IoT wired devices via Cloud IQ in a very secure way. And it also gives non-IT people the ability to onboard these IoT Essentials via a simple drag and drop of the profile. The reason why this is so important is that these IoT Essentials most of the time, IoT devices most of the time, don't have security built in. So this means also that they are vulnerable, very vulnerable. So in fact, then when they connect to the network and then via the network, you put them in a profile where only the specific traffic that they are used to go is enabled, secures them in that way. So the hardware limitation is AP150W and AP3W. These are the wall mount devices because these are the only APs that currently have Ethernet interfaces available to do this. Okay. We will also be adding compliance essentials, and for the European market, GDPR compliance here is important. So this, in an automated way, it will check the configurations of all your devices if these have any GDPR compliance issues or not. Okay. We have the essentials available in Cloud IQ, and like, for example, our defense essentials, we also have the full-blown application available that will be integrated in Cloud IQ, but that can be run locally. In this way, all the essentials or some of the essentials will have an option Essentials Plus that gives you added functionality that is not included in the base license. This comes to the end right now on the Wi-Fi solution. So I would like to start now on the Fabric solution. I think this is not really that known for most of the people on the call. In addition to the normal switching and features, we have Fabric networking. Let's start from the beginning. So if you see, we have the different layers in your network. We have wireless clients, we have wired clients, you have servers, and these are connected to access switches. We have some core switches, then you have the firewall setting, and then you go to the internet. If you then check the logical layers, so this means that you have different VLANs. The VLANs can go to one router, VLANs can go from the end users to the servers, VLANs can actually connect your firewall to the internet. So these are the typical subnets and VLANs that we see in a network. On the physical layer side, you have then the APs and the users that are typically connected via one link to the switches, and then the switches are then connected via dual links to a cluster of core switches. Core switches and the access switches are using link aggregation to the different other switches. And then you have the VLANs that are imposed on this network as a virtual layer. Now, important on the Fabric networking is that actually in an automated campus, the end devices are automatically connected to their servers. And there is a segmented network available between the end device and the servers. If you see this in a typical normal network, then you need to do the hop by hop provisioning. So this means camera is connected to VLAN to switch 1. I need to configure the port for this camera for VLAN 1. This switch is then connected to another switch. Also there I need to configure that VLAN on the uplink port. And you go switch by switch until you get to the server side. So this means also if you need to change it, this is taking time and a lot of downtime as well. And that's in some networks, this cannot be tolerated. In the fact of an automated campus, it's only configuration at the edge. And then you can even go one step further, that as soon as the device connects, everything is automatically configured and updated. So this means at that time, there is no change window needed. So in typically Vlan configs, we have, if you want to enable sharing on the switches, you need to do some configurations. So on the Ethernet side, you have then LACP and then your VLAN. So to enable LACP on our switches, it's sharing. Then you then configure the VLAN on these ports as a tag VLAN, and you can see then from the other side with LLDP what neighbors are connected to it. If you do a fabric attach, then the only thing what you need to do is configure the VLAN on the end switch, and automatically it gets also configured in your core switches as soon as it's added to the core. So you don't have to do the specific configuration on every single switch in the core. Same thing, whenever this is done and your device moves to another port, like for example in a hospital where they have a blood infusion machine that is connected and it goes to another room, it's simply that VLAN simply follows the device. So this means also that no administration needs to be done on the port. The port can be in a universal way configured, and as soon as the device connects, the port gets configured for that specific VLAN. That's the animation. So this means that by using fabric attach that is supported on our edge switches and also on our APs, it's not currently possible on the cloud APs, but on the other APs it is, then these switches can be moved and the end users can be moved all over your network. We also have some third-party integration with, for example, industrial switches from Nexans, of cameras from Microsense and Axis. So as soon as these devices are configured in a fabric way, they can be moved all over your network, and no config or reconfiguration needs to be done on your core or on your edges. And it's not only VLANs, it's really a policy-based service creation that is enabled. So once this is done and the segmented VLANs or policies are accessible, there is no way that hackers can actually try to get into these tunneled environments. So this also combines then a radius integration called Extreme Control, and then different policies can be sent to the different end devices so that they can connect in a very secure way, and only access to the specified services is available. This is called hypersegmentation, and this in combination with the policy informants and with the ACLs on the APs and on the switches gives you a full secure network. So if you then see via the authentication, the user connects to the system then sends a radius request to Extreme Control. Extreme Control checks the MAC address or the certificates on the end device and returns then a VLAN SSID with a SID for the fabric, and then that VLAN is built on the switch and on the core, and you get access to the system. When that user then is moving to another port or to another AP, then actually that VLAN the first VLAN is removed from the access switch and a new VLAN is built up on the second switch. It simply follows the user. So you can have different security roles. For example, enterprise user, guest access, administrator users. These roles are then coupled to different rules, and then via these rules you get specific ACL lists that are configured on the switches. The same thing on VLAN, that's layer 2 segmentation, is also available on layer 3. If you see the different routed networks that are available on a normal network, you can say an admin network, you can say a voice and video network, or a guest network. this can be collapsed into one network where you have all these different routed networks on one physical network, and that are virtually segmented via the fabric network. The fabric network actually uses SPBM, shorted path bridging, and it's doing a MAC-in-MAC encapsulation. So actually the packets from the end user to the server are encapsulated, and in that way are very secure because they are not via hop by hop, but you really go from the end device switch to the end device switch. The core is invisible via this encapsulation. So if you do the routing interconnection with VRF, you see that actually in a typical network, you have the Ethernet, then you have the spanning tree running on top of the Ethernet. On top of that Ethernet, you have VLANs, and then you are implementing a routing algorithm, meaning OSPF, for example. And then if you're doing some multicasting, you have PIM. If you then go to the fabric network, and actually it's quite easy, you run ISIS, that's the shortest path bridging or layer 2 encapsulation on Ethernet. And then on ISIS, all the different layer 2 services and layer 3 services are running. And it's simply adding a subnet is done once in the core and once on the edge switches. And everything then is runs automatically. So you have the same protocol for all services, ISIS, for layer 2 services, layer 3 services, and multicast services. So this was a short introduction on fabric networking. Honestly, this is something that you can talk about for days. But if we then come back to the hardware that is needed to run these kind of networks, on the switch side, we have switches starting from the X435, that is simple layer 2 switch, up to the VSP switches that are running our fabric network. Also, we have different firmwares or OS network operating systems on the switches. The ones that are the typical layer 2 and layer 3 services called Exos, and the fabric networking is done in the VOS networking. These are running on the VSPs. So as you can see, we have different versions of switches depending on the interfaces that are available, going from 1 gig to multi-rate up to 10 gig and 40 gig, or even 32 100 gig interfaces that are available. One topic that I want to touch here quite briefly as well is that the concept of universal hardware. So the idea of Extreme is that we will have hardware that is able to run the different operating systems that are needed to run your network. In case of Extreme Networks, this is on the switching side, Exos and VOS operating systems, and on the AP side, we have Wing operating system and Cloud IQ operating system, the Hive OS operating system, the former Aero Hive operating system. So we will, from now on, all hardware that we will be putting on the network, switch hardware and AP hardware, will be universal. As an example, we have here the 5520 that is available right now. That's a switch with 24 port and 48 port versions with 1 gig, multi-gig, and 10 gig connectivity with PoE up to 90 watts. It gives you a full fabric environment based on VOS operating system, and it also gives you this extended switch environment based on Exos switching. And you can simply switch from one operating system to the other without losing or without buying a new license. Everything is included in the license itself. And this is also the way on how we actually give the clients that are using right now traditional VLAN networking possibilities to go to fabric networking. So the first one that we added is the 5520, and for the positioning, it's a mid-tier switch. And the next one that we will be adding is the 5420. This will be available at the end of June normally. And that's, if we go there, that's really the value tier where we're adding this. Also, the 5420 will have a VOS version and an Exos version, and simply change all the configuration, you go from one operating system to the other operating system. So this is really very useful for customers that are in a migration phase and, for example, go from traditional networking to fabric networking. Okay, so this gives coming to the end of this presentation. I think we have 4 minutes left now for any questions. So I give the word back to Quinten. I think if he has been monitoring this, or just open the bridge for everybody if there are some questions.
Yes, thank you, Hans. First for the good explanation and the presentation. There's actually still one question been unanswered, and it's about the Wi-Fi part, specifically about the AP460. And someone is asking if you could explain the mounting options for the AP460.
That's a 460C, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, included in the box there is a wall mounting, but I think the best thing is that you just sent me an email on that one, and I'll forward the installation guide, because everything is really well explained in the installation guide.
Okay, perfect. Will do. For the rest, there are no open questions that are still unanswered. So please, everyone, if you have questions still, feel free to drop them in the question box. And if not, I would like to thank you again for attending the webinar and for filling out the survey following to the webinar when you leave the call. So we'll leave this open for a few minutes. Questions can still be answered. And if not, thank you very much. And looking forward to the second webinar on the 25th of March.